All right. I'm about to tell you a little bit more about complex products, how the products are connected through the systems, and I think we have a little bit overview of that, what Niels showed about holistic configuration model at part of my presentation. But first of all, shortly about myself and the company I represent, the Valmet. So I have over 24 years experience in manufacturing industry, starting as a software developer. So yeah, we do have a software developers there as well. Last 10 years dealing with the CPQ topics, configuration and modularization. And nowadays I'm responsible globally for Valmet CPQ platforms and related to cost and price calculation platforms over our segments, process technology, services and automation. And I'm located in middle of Finland, Jyväskylä, where we have one of the main locations having manufacturing facilities and trial machines as well. About Valmet, we have net sales a little bit over 1.1 billion and employees over 18,000. And for net sales by segment point of view, we are quite equal, and so goes for net sales by area. Well, EMEA has a little bit overweight there, but that's understandable because where we are coming and what industry we are dealing with. We have a global presence. We have locations over 40 countries, and we are recognized as a leader in sustainability. Here is some of our customers from paper and board making companies, also pulp industry and energy and process. Some of you might see yourself here. And Valmet has a long industrial history. We have had a lot of acquisitions, many mergers, then again acquisitions, and particular with Metso for some reasons, so that might be a little bit difficult to track, but you can see it here. I have highlighted some of those acquisitions for the nature they have very important for CPQ platform point of view. And just to take note that during this year we are making three acquisitions, and all these acquisitions have a quite impact to our IT landscape and give some complexity in overall what we also see in CPQ platforms as well. Then about Valmet CPQ or CPQ aspect, our history together with Tacton. So all started already in SPR business unit in 2005. They have totally customized Tacton implementation. Then Pulp and Energy started their CPQ journey 2008. I joined the Modular Way program when paper business lines started to configure these paper machines, and we started with DC side. Then Flow Control did their first Tacton CPQ implementation in the world, and that was actually seen in Tacton's slides as well. And I cannot take any credit of that, but my colleagues for new Valmeters are kind of done the good job there. We followed with services and paper business line, implementing Tacton CPQ in use, and automation systems are done CPQ implementation last year, and Pulp and Energy is doing pilot to running CPQs. Then about that, what we actually configure. So we have these 5 business lines, and for paper business line, we have those paper and board, big complex machine configuration, very heavy technical configurations, which we aim to be a little bit wider scope and have a control of all the sections. Pulp and energy has similarities for complexity point of view, so we should deal with the complete mills and have a bigger portion of CTO of true CPQ in sales process. Services, we have a couple of transactional service configurations, and we have piloted the, let's say, the overall umbrella on top of services to have these agreements configurations in place and totally offer a complete service offering there. Flow control has a full sales offering through CPQ of flow control technologies, and they offer complete mill solutions. And when you see the slide about Tacton usage, I think this business line, particularly in our case, are giving quite a lot of activities to Tacton worldwide. And automation systems has sales configuration and full offering consisting of distributed control system and quality measurement systems in place. If looking about our IT platforms, we see that there are certain differences depending on the business line, mainly coming for the reasons that there are different requirements what we need to deal with. And we have a couple of CRMs, and we have various PDM systems, PLM systems, ERP systems, and like mentioned, mainly these are coming from the acquisitions, and that sort of consolidation work is ongoing. Then about challenges what we are facing. So we have quite process-intensive solution and very complex mechanical structures. And what it means that the process itself is driving the mechanical solutions. So you cannot just configure the mechanical structures. You need to deal with the process anyhow. And we are consisting a lot of ETO products, new installations, rebuilds, projects, upgrades, services. So all types of products and services are in place what we need to configure and deal with. There is as well huge project scopes in those process technology segments and flow control business line. So complete mill offering on the same quotation, and that eventually means that we have some 500 pages in the quotation or agreement phases. So lots of documentation needed anyhow. For application point of view, we have faced challenges, and this comes from the nature that there are lots of information we are dealing with, very big configuration models. So we have some performance challenges what we need to find solutions. And configuration product structure is not very easy to align with engineering system, and that's what I'm going to talk about more next. And simulation, calculation, dimensioning are actually the key elements to make successful sales configuration. We cannot have those without having understanding of the complete solution. Then first example case, I prepared a couple of these. So how we connect product information from sales to engineering. I'm not sure have you faced this challenge, but maybe it's depending on what sort of products you're dealing with. So first of all, how we have connecting the configuration results to PDM. And at back that time, we decided that it's essential to have a connection from configuration results to PDM to be more efficient when we start to engineering, get the information there right on for the engineering usage. And we look at the market that there weren't any program which eventually did this job for us. Not to mention that we had the highly customized PDM solution in our house. So what we did there, we actually built that solution. And what that application does, it builds the bridge between CPQ and PDM. And how it does it restructures the configuration structure to be applicable for manufacturing structure. And it mapped the product or configuration variants to the actual PDM items and do it so that it can handle the localization of items. So multiple localized items can point to the one variant. And we can identify the similarities over the product structure, so we don't duplicate the items where we don't really need it. So identifying exactly the same structures there. And we had one challenge there, and maybe the users who are forced to use this program are thinking that one big challenge were the application itself. But we do have challenge to that we were too dependent on the manufacturing structures, and we get ERP changed on the way, and it changed our manufacturing structure in a way and roll it up the change requirement to upstream systems, and that we're seeing quite difficult to handle. What about PLM and products aspect? How we deal with that? And what sort of structures should be used for product perspective? We decided that all products are mastered in PLM, and we aim to master those so that the basic variability is already defined in PLM. It contains core attributes, and this basic variability is more like a limit in the product in a higher level. So it gives the limits where we can use the products. It's not containing any sales configuration rules or any details in that sense. And we are relying on that logical bill of material structure is really building the bridge between sales bill of material and engineering bill of material, manufacturing bill of material. So like I said, this is quite close to that holistic CPQ model, but having a little bit different perspective of it. But the main idea that we need to connect those products over the systems. And this is particularly where we have struggled when we have a sales configuration structure which are really serving that configurability. And then we have an engineering structure and manufacturing structure which are not aligned with it. So this way we targeting to have that alignment in place. A little bit generalizing things here. And looking at, let's say, the system scale perspective, we can say that we have this sort of sales scope level, and we have a product level, and there are certain differences. So sales scope level, we are scoping that whole structure in PLM, and we are synchronizing that to scope configuration model. And ultimately, when we get the result from sales scope configuration, we get the full process scope configured, and that leads us to the install base structure at the end. Where product level, where we consisting products under products, we have a basic variability defined there, like mentioned in the products, and we have product configuration models, and when we get the product sales configuration result, we have a technical configuration attached to it, and it builds the delivery structure for that product. And what it means for us is that we can have a different manufacturing locations. We can even deliver some parts from directly to the site, so we can control kind of that complete structure of that product. Then another case example, and I'm enthusiastic about system configuration, and the reason is that we've been talking about this already 5 years ago, looking at that how we could build this kind of complete let's say, the complete offering or umbrella for certain business lines. And before I go that example, Niels already explained quite well how big machines we are dealing with. So they are huge, 10 meters wide, hundreds of meters long, only taking this particular paper machine, paper or board machine. There are lots of things before and after the paper machine, process systems, other equipments. And actually, these machines are also quite demanding in the way that how fast we produce that board or paper. So there is an example of tissue machine. It's not exactly like what you are seeing here, but you can consider it be the same. So they make a record of having 2,222 meters per minute production, and which is ultimately the Guinness World Record. So it's like a 130 kilometers per hour you are having that paper going over the machine, and you can imagine the requirements of the mechanical and process point of view, because that paper needs to be very precisely manufactured. So what we aim to do here is that for scope configuration point of view, we are splitting that machine into sections, and we have done already before that. We have configuration models there within those sections, but what we are aiming and why I'm enthusiastic about this is that we could have this sort of line, paper or board line model, where we actually import the customer requirements. In our case, it means that we have a paper grade requirements, what customer want to produce, what are the productions in overall, and by that what figures they are analyzing their investments and ultimately bringing the customer value, and it's happening actually that top level. But as well, we need to connect the process calculation, concept dimension in there to understand that what sort of sections there will be underneath. And we can also attach the sustainability calculation to play around these I call it concepts. And those concepts comes to the section level, where we actually define in detail what are the equipments there or what are the concepts there. And underneath those section products, we are having the equipment level. And these equipments are actually only the core of those components. So we know that what they are, where they are and how they need to be built, but we are not in the sales level taking care of the details of that component. That comes later. Yeah, and ultimately we could have a 3D representation, all of this. But this kind of holistic view, as you can say, could give such a huge benefit or describing that product at the end. So, and the example of what we did with the existing tactile features, we built this kind of complete hierarchical structure of paper business line. Okay, this was proof of concept, more like understanding that what we are targeting. But anyhow, they were individual configuration models, and that layered already down, and we actually drive those values from top level to down, so we can streamline those key parameters what we are having in the line level. And we can also identify that inconsistency on the down level if there is such. So I think that proves us that we are on right track, so to say. Then what about next? What are our next plans and what are in the roadmap? So we are aiming to continue that system configuration development. So to say, we need to find a new way to do modeling in larger scale. and that requirements goes in process technology segment, what you see, but as well as flow control and complete valve mill solutions. And we are continuing that integration concept definition between CPQ and PLM, as it is very essential and already decided that this is the way we want to go forward. Then we need to expand this calculation capabilities within CPQ. So process calculation, dimensioning, that needs to be part of that sales process one way or the other. And we have a couple of examples where flow control already has the mechanical validation of that valve. So they have a separate application which validates the complete valve there and give the information back to CPQ that can that be sold with the configure attributes as sales guy are configuring. Then on the other hand, we have steam thermodynamics calculation implemented in one business line to work with through Microsoft Azure functions. So we can call complex process calculation during the sales process and get the information back. And that's something it's not relevant to build inside the configuration logic. There is of course the balancing between that how much you can and how much you want to build it inside the configurator and what's left out. So this way we keep it in outside. Then we look and evaluate the 3D configuration capabilities in selected product areas, knowing that we are quite far, maybe many of you who might have this already in place. We need to look at where that would benefit us in best way. And we also looking for opportunities to implement component content management system in place in that process technology segment area. Like mentioned, there are huge number of documentation needed, and we are not aiming only about the quotation itself, but we need to deal with also the technical manuals and hopefully use same fragments already there in a couple of places. And then we continue evaluate that customer portal configuration capabilities. We have a partner portals in use, so ultimately targeting this sort of one Valmet customer experience through CPQs. So, thanks your interest.
You, Miika. It's definitely always one of my favorite things to listen to when our customers speak, and you would definitely fulfill that expectation too. So thank you very much for guiding us through your role and your journey with Tacton.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of questions from the audience. We have 5 minutes until we're breaking for lunch, but we'll get through as many of them as possible. So the first question from the audience: how do you manage calculations and simulation in CPQ process?
So, to be honest, we are not having that yet.
Yeah.
But we are seeing that is essential to have it. So simulation particularly is quite complicated thing. But I believe that we could make such a platform which communicates our simulation platforms. And to be honest, we have quite a few of simulator
right.
inside the company. So
yeah.
This is quite long journey, but very key topic, like I mentioned.
Right. Yeah. It's not an easy road there. And then another question. I'm sure this one could be a bit tricky to answer as well. How fast are quotes prepared and sent to the customer? How long did it take before?
Okay, you see, we have quite a lot of different businesses, so
yeah.
difficult to answer that. Yeah. But let's say, in other hand, what CPQ can help naturally, that can bring that engineering understanding in sales process.
Right.
So it can actually speed quotation process quite a lot.
And even though it's hard to quantify, would you say with Tacton CPQ you're able to deliver quotes much quicker today than before?
Yeah, definitely. You can say that. Yeah.
Cool. Leading.
Actually, we have so much talk with our sales guys, and they have different perspectives. So that's why I'm a little bit on the backside. I just want to bring technology which help them to do their job best way. And I believe that connectivity to wider scale is one key element there, because if we are dealing just one individual configuration model, but we have a huge quotation, the sales guys are not necessarily seeing the benefit of using that. So that's my why I'm hesitating a bit.
And then another audience or question from the audience: are you using design automation to facilitate and automate the engineering work?
Like I said, we don't yet, but I mentioned that 3D. I a little bit look at as the same aspect, that we are looking for that sort of capabilities that we can really configure and use the design automation for in certain parts. Yeah.
One more question from the audience. In the area of services, do you link services to installed base, and if so, how?
Yeah, we link those. We get the installed base information from our CRM system. So we get the starting information there, that how we start the service configurations, and that I think it's very nice thing and feature to have. And overall, we are building that installed base in the way, and maybe thinking that PLM will also take part of that journey.
Right. And I think we have time for one final question before we wrap up here before lunch. Staying on the topic of services, which type of guarantees do you offer in a service agreement?
I'm not a service specialist here, so I'm a little bit doubt to answer that question.
Yeah.
But I would assume that there are many guarantees, and as Valmet has been seen in these businesses, is that we are a trusted partner. So basically, we deliver what customer requires us for, and that's our job.
Cool.
To bring value to customer.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Miika.
Okay. Thanks.